Nigeria's political battlefield has erupted once again. On Tuesday, August the 4th, at his monthly media chat in Abuja, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, accused the presidential candidate of the Nigeria Democratic Congress, Peter Obi, of cheap populism and political opportunism. But to understand what happened on Tuesday, you have to go back to a phrase Wike used about Obi 2 months earlier, one that has followed Nigerian politics ever since. He called him a food-is-ready politician. Food is ready, mama put, in any Nigerian street. Everybody knows exactly what that means. You arrive when the cooking is finished. You did not light the fire. You did not fetch the water. You did not stand over the pot. You show up when it is time to eat. That is one of the sharpest things you can say about a man who wants to be president. But is it fair? Is there evidence behind it? Or is it simply a well-aimed insult? And why has Wike returned to this same theme again and again? Today, we separate the facts from the political rhetoric. If you're new to ThePolicyPulseHQ, welcome. We follow the money, verify the facts, and hold power accountable. Subscribe now and join thousands of Nigerians who want more than headlines. Watch the full investigation on this channel because this short only tells half the story.
Nyesom Wike governed Rivers State for 8 years. He is a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party who now serves as Minister of the Federal Capital Territory in President Bola Tinubu's cabinet, an arrangement that tells you something about how Nigerian politics actually works. His style is confrontation. He does not use coded language, he does not issue carefully worded statements through aides, and he holds a monthly media chat where he says exactly what he thinks about whoever is in front of him. That monthly chat has become one of the most reliably newsworthy events in Abuja. Peter Obi governed Anambra State for 8 years and built a reputation around frugality and personal simplicity. In the 2023 presidential election, he ran on the Labour Party platform and, according to reporting, garnered more than 6 million votes, transforming what had been a minor party into a national force and building a movement of largely young supporters. Now, here is the detail that matters most for this entire story, because it is the factual foundation of Wike's argument. Obi's party history runs like this. He was in APGA, then the PDP, then the Labour Party, on which he ran in 2023. After the election, the Labour Party fell into internal crisis. He moved to ADC. Then, according to reporting, when it became clear the ADC might not zone its presidential ticket to the south and that he would face a primary against figures including Atiku Abubakar and Rotimi Amaichi, he moved again to the Nigeria Democratic Congress, where he was the sole presidential aspirant and emerged as candidate. 5 platforms, and in at least 2 of them, by that account, he emerged as candidate without a contested primary. Hold that thought, because everything Wike is arguing rests on it.
The phrase came at his monthly media chat in Abuja on Monday, June the 1st, 2026. And the trigger matters because it was not a random insult. Wike was responding to a specific pledge. Obi had said he could increase Nigeria's electricity generation from around 5,000 megawatts to 10,000 megawatts if given the opportunity. That is the context in which Wike replied. He said, quote, "How you know someone who can do that is how you know someone who can fight challenges. Peter Obi likes food is ready, mama put. I don't want struggling," end quote. And he continued, quote, "In this country, there are challenges. You must have the capacity to face those challenges," end quote. Then he made his broader point, and this is where the argument becomes serious rather than merely rude. Referring to President Tinubu's removal of the fuel subsidy, Wike argued that previous leaders had all identified subsidy as a problem, but lacked the courage to act on it. His position was that leadership is not about identifying a problem, it is about fixing it. In his framing, the worst kind of leader is someone who can identify a problem but cannot make the decision to solve it. He also turned it on himself, which is worth noting for fairness. He said, quote, "You remember when I came here as a minister, there was nothing I did not hear, no abuse I did not get. That's what makes you a leader. That's what makes you a man. Leadership is not bashing people." End quote. And he asked of Obi's movement, quote, "They said they are the savior that will come. What has happened now?" End quote. And then, August 4th. 2 months later, at his August media chat, he returned to the same theme with sharper language. He accused Obi of cheap populism and political opportunism and of what he described as politics of sentiment, alleging that some of Obi's public engagements were choreographed to attract sympathy rather than to demonstrate genuine leadership. Then came the line that traveled furthest. He said, quote, "I was a governor. I have never attended birthday parties in an IDP camp. I've never gone to do my birthday with motherless homes simply because you want to be a president." End quote.
So, what is the actual accusation? Let us take it apart properly, because there are 3 distinct charges bundled inside one street phrase, and they are not equally strong. The first charge is about difficulty. Wike is saying Obi wants the presidency of a country in crisis without demonstrating appetite for the unpopular decisions that crisis demands. In his framing, the subsidy removal is the test case, a decision everyone knew was needed and nobody had been willing to take. The second charge is about party history. Food is ready also implies arriving where the work is done. Reporting explicitly connects Wike's remark to Obi's movement from APGA to PDP to Labour Party to ADC to NNDC. The claim is that when internal difficulty arrives, he relocates rather than fights. The third charge, added in August, is about performance. That is what the IDP camp line is doing. It suggests visible compassion staged for political benefit. The accusation and the accuser share a problem. Now, here is the thing almost nobody covering this story has said out loud, and it applies with equal force to both men. Look at what Wike is actually attacking. He is attacking movement between parties and the pursuit of political advantage over party loyalty. And Wike is a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party, serving as a minister in a cabinet led by the All Progressives Congress. Both men have made choices that prioritize political position over party consistency. They simply made different ones. That does not make Wike's criticism false, and it is important to say that clearly, because an argument does not become wrong merely because of who is making it. Obi's 5 platforms are a matter of record, regardless of Wike's own arrangements. But it does tell you something important about Nigerian politics that neither man's supporters will enjoy hearing. Party loyalty, as a political value, has largely stopped functioning in this country. When it is invoked, it is almost always being used as a weapon against an opponent rather than as a standard anybody intends to be held to. Watch for that the next time either camp raises it. One word in the comments. Is changing parties 5 times a red flag, or is it just Nigerian politics? Say flag or normal. One word, I read everyone.
How Obi's supporters answer this counter-argument. Now, let us put the counter-argument at its strongest, because it exists and it deserves a full hearing. On the party moves, his supporters argue that the sequence describes the collapse of Nigerian party structures rather than any flaw in one man. Reporting itself records that the Labour Party fell into internal crisis after 2023. On this reading, a candidate who leaves a party that has become dysfunctional is responding to reality, not fleeing difficulty. And the fact that more than 6 million voters followed him regardless suggests his support was never anchored to a party logo in the first place. On the charge of avoiding hard decisions, they make a sharper point. Obi's central critique of this administration is not that reforms are hard, it is that Nigerians absorbed the pain and have not seen the benefit. which is precisely the argument the Catholic Bishops' Conference made to the president in July, and precisely what the finance minister acknowledged last week when he confirmed that subsidy savings went largely to debt servicing and existing obligations. That is a substantive position, not an aversion to difficulty. On the IDP camp line, his supporters argue that charitable visits and modest personal spending have been consistent features of his public life over many years, not an innovation of the campaign season. And there is a broader response worth stating. Obi has continued to intervene on national issues in ways unrelated to any of this. On August the 3rd, for example, he publicly condemned the abduction of worshippers in Enugu State, calling attacks on places of worship a national calamity and warning that no region is now immune. Two arguments are being made about the same man, and both have evidence attached. That is the honest position.
So why does a phrase from a media chat matter with a general election under a year away? Because this is not really about food. It is an attempt to define an opponent before he defines himself. In every competitive election, one side tries to attach a single sticky idea to the other, and Food is Ready is designed to be exactly that. It is short, it is in street language, it needs no explanation to any Nigerian, and it can be repeated endlessly. Notice also what it is not. Wike did not attack Obi's 10,000 megawatts target on technical grounds by disputing the transmission capacity, the gas supply, or the financing. He attacked the man's character instead. Whether that is because character is the more effective line of attack or because the policy argument was harder to make is a judgment each viewer can form. And notice one more thing. In the same August session, Wike also dismissed Atiku Abubakar's ambitions and described Rotimi Amechi as having zero political value. This is not a campaign against one man. It appears to be a systematic effort to diminish the entire field of challengers well ahead of the vote.
So, what do we actually know, stripped of noise? We know Wike used the phrase on June 1st in response to a specific electricity pledge and returned to the theme with harsher language on August 4th. We know Obi has contested under multiple platforms and is now the NDC candidate. We know he received more than 6 million votes in 2023. Those are facts. What is contested is what those facts mean. Whether a man who moves parties is avoiding struggle or navigating collapsing institutions. Whether visiting an IDP camp is compassion or choreography. Whether a critic of hard reforms lacks courage or is simply asking the question every household in this country is asking about where the money went. This channel is not going to tell you which reading is correct because that is a judgment about character, and character is exactly the kind of thing citizens are supposed to weigh for themselves. What we would say is this. Before 2027, you will hear this phrase many more times. When you do, ask what evidence sits behind it and ask the same question of whatever the other side says in reply. That habit is worth more than any slogan either camp produces. What do you think? Was Wike's criticism fair, or was it simply another round of political rhetoric? Share your thoughts respectfully in the comments below. If you're new to the Policy Pulse HQ, welcome. We follow the facts, examine the evidence, and break down the stories shaping Nigeria's future. Subscribe now, turn on notifications, and join our growing community. Until next time, stay informed.